Hello, everybody. Welcome to another NPCs Weekly News Roundup. It is August 20th, 2022. Hope you all enjoy the summer. Guess what? School's coming back. So we'll go ahead and help bring up some of that depression and make everybody nice and happy by talking about some video game news from this week. First off, we'll be talking, of course, about Embracer Group going absolutely bonkers and buying up just about every company under the sun yet again. We'll, of course, also talk about some of the leaked photos that have come out of the Fallout TV show set. And I gotta say, they are looking pretty sweet. And of course, we'll also be talking about Sega and how Sonic was so successful as a movie that they want to bring some of their other games to the silver screen. That and more on today's NPCs Weekly News Roundup. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another NPCs Weekly News Roundup for the week of November 20th, 2020. It is Friday. It is, where's my date? It's September 18th. 2020 here to our first story, and this is actually breaking news for all of us right now here too. Figured this is kind of a big one to cover, of course, with who it is. Joined via Discord by Kyle because we're in the midst of a pandemic still, and of course everything is all kinds of crazy. So this thing is a chonker. I mean,
yeah, it's a beast.
It's huge. Doing that we had the Resident Evil stuff, that they were successful with Castlevania. Welcome to another NPC's Weekly News Roundup. And it's the news time. I am joined, of course, by Kyle via Discord. Kyle, hello.
What's up?
Man. And here we are. We're live. We're up and running. Welcome, everybody. Again, it is time for the Weekly News Roundup, August 20th, 2022. Thank you so much, of course, for joining us to go through some of this week's video game news. Of course, I'm Travis, and via Discord, right there next to me is Kyle. Kyle, what's up?
Hiya.
Hi. Oh, that's it, everybody. Thanks. We're just. That's it. We're done now. No, that's it. Thanks, everybody. No, come on. No, I'm kidding. Hiya. Wow. I was not ready for that one, so thanks for that.
Yeah. I had to change it up a little bit.
Okay, I guess I appreciate that. Anyway, let's take that weirdness, just hop right in, I guess, to the news then, Kyle. Let's talk about that here, like with the biggest story really of this week, and it's the fact that they went nuts with this. Embracer Group bought up a ton of companies. They bought the list includes, I think, like 10, like maybe 9 or 10 additional studios. The biggest one that they bought was actually they bought Middle Earth Enterprises. So Middle Earth Enterprises has the IP rights to what is it? The list here is like video games, board games, merchandising, theme parks, stage productions, motion pictures for the Lord of the Rings universe, which means that Embracer Group basically now has the rights to the show that's going to be coming up on Amazon here very soon. In tandem with that, they've also picked up let's see, here's the full list, Kyle, of everybody they got. Besides Middle Earth Enterprises, they got Limited Run Games, Tuxedo Labs, Tripwire Interactive, Singtrix, Tatsujin, Bitwave Games, and Geotech. And then there's another company, but they have not disclosed exactly which company that is. And I had a list here of all the different games that have been made by them so far, but I saw a couple like Maneater, Super Meat Boy. Let me just find the list here. Let's see. I had the list up. I think it was from GameSpot is where I had the list. But what do you think about that, though, as I'm looking this up, Kyle, like that they've went nuts buying all these companies, like in addition to everything else they did this year?
They just want to own all of gaming. That's it. Anything that's classic gaming, they just want to own. I don't know. It's super weird. I kind of wonder where they're getting like a bunch of the funding from, because I don't feel like they've put out all that many games, even though that they've been buying tons of gaming companies.
Yeah, it's like,
maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. And maybe they're sitting on a big cash cow that they've been saving up to try and launch further into the market, and that's why they've been making these large purchases that happen every so often. It's like, oh, here we're gonna buy 3 studios, we're gonna buy 6 studios, we're gonna buy 4 studios.
Absolutely. And it's like it's like, if you look at the battle of who's buying what right now, it literally has been Tencent versus Embracer Group on who can acquire the most companies, especially in just this last year.
When it comes to third party, most definitely. I mean, of course, Sony and Microsoft seem to be at war with some of the bigger, AAA companies, but those also seem to be a lot of the ones that have either published games for the companies that have been, exclusive titles, or seem to also be companies that produce your yearly titles. So I I don't know.
That's also
This
true.
is yeah, I don't know. It's a different style of acquisition, and this one, especially from Embracer Group, with all of a sudden, they're buying an accessory brand and limited run games. I mean, limited run games, that had to have been a pretty fair acquisition. They make pretty good money, I would assume, with all the games that they publish as physical copies, and the fact that they are so limited, and a lot of them get sought after, a year or two down the line, so they do hold their value.
Oh, absolutely. And don't forget, though, that Embracer Group, I mean, Tencent has their hands in a lot of big AAA studios, though, too. But don't forget, Embracer Group also owns Gearbox as well.
Yeah,
And that's a
but
pretty big deal.
another thing too, Tencent, they buy a lot of portions of companies, whereas it seems like Embracer, they go all in. They're just gonna purchase the company outright.
True. That actually, no, you're absolutely right. That seems to be the case where Tencent is kind of just wanting to exert some control here, but not take the full burden of what the company is. And Embracer's like,
Right.
here's $1 billion. Go ahead. But I found that list though, and it's actually from Game Informer. So just a couple of the games that these companies have put out. Shantae, Super Meat Boy, River City Girls, Teardown, Killing Floor, Maneater, Chivalry 2, Snow Bros, Flying Shark, and Gimmick.
Wow.
So yeah, that's a lot of it there. I think really though the other part is that limited run games is just absolutely crazy though too, um, like you had even said. But what's interesting though is like exactly that you had made a pretty good point is that like these companies have put out games that people know, but they definitely do fall into that indie market.
Hmm.
What does this really speak to into the actual indie market space though? Like, do you think there's a potential for more pressure on say like these storefronts where a lot more indie titles are really being pushed at, like say like Steam for example, and seeing Embracer kind of put more pressure onto Steam to say like change how cuts are done between Valve and the devs and that, so that way they're making more money, or like there's got to be another motive for this besides just buying the studios and just making money. There's got to be something else.
I mean, in some situations, the pressure is nice, but I mean, in other situations, especially with some of the like smaller studios that produce these retro titles, that they have limited staff anyway, and the a lot of times when Embracer or even Tencent, they put money into a company, they're not really changing a lot with the company other than hi, you have a new parent company, um, so. I some of the studios, I would think it's better for them to have the time and whatnot, and maybe that's what they'll get is the time that they need and the funding that they need. Um, I don't know. I would like to hope that taking on so many studios, they don't overwhelm themselves with titles that are trying to come out, and in turn some of the titles that could have been successful fail. Um, But who knows? We could also see some really, really good titles that, are sequels of games that we haven't seen in like 15 years. And that's what I would like to see come out of it.
Yeah, like yeah, I I think that might end up being like more of like the best case scenario that we could really expect. I'm just hoping that with the concentration of power, at least control over some of these studios. But again, like Embracer, at least they've got what is it? There's some other information here on some of the other stuff they have. Like Embracer, they got Crystal Dynamics, Eidos Montreal, Square Enix Montreal. They've got I think it was also I saw here too that they've got THQ Nordic, Koch Media / Deep Silver, Saber Interactive, Gearbox. It's like with all those other
Mm.
companies in there, not even just on the indie level, is that, you know, I'm hoping that they still allow for that creative freedom. So we'll not necessarily just see some of those classics come out that people might want to see from these well established studios, but it still does have to be concerned that the concentration of power for some of these titles and being under the guise of just one company, that almost makes me think back to like the days of like more of like the early console wars where it's like you really are going to be seeing, instead of it being an emphasis on what console a game is going to be on, it's more like, okay, well, what company is actually controlling the top level of these other companies making the games, and how are they going to handle deal negotiation for getting on different platforms?
This is true as well. I think the biggest benefit I could see maybe out of it is for some of the studios that do have these IPs that they've been sitting on for, console generation, or, even tech generation after tech generation, and doing nothing with them. Maybe we can get direction to put out more titles, even relating to some of these previous titles, to get some foothold into the ground, to maybe revitalize or create new IPs.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So here's to hoping. I mean, I gotta say, at least as it stands right now, I haven't seen anything that sits out as having been like a noticeable problem yet with what Embracer
Mhm.
Group has already brought in under its own organization so far. But time will always tell. And of course, the video game industry is always evolving. So it's just another matter of seeing what happens next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe limited run games won't be so limited run, or maybe we'll get some more really cool collector's packs out of them. I don't know. That's the one that still has me just kind of like, what?
Absolutely.
So,
I
yeah, I'm
100% there
excited
with
to
you.
see what's gonna happen there.
Yeah, 100% there with you. But let's carry on here to another part of the news, and that is the Fallout TV show. So, we have had some photos and some, well, mostly just photos leak out of the Fallout set. So, to the point that the original article that we were referencing here from Kotaku and the pictures that they referenced have been taken down now. And of course, the show is being put together by, I believe Amazon is the one that's doing this, isn't it? Yep, Amazon.
Uh, you know, uh, go figure.
Yeah, sorry, it's right there. Yeah, Lord of the Rings, and then Fallout, of course, too. So, yes. So what's going on is, yeah, Amazon is making a Fallout TV show, and of course they announced it, I believe, this last year. But it looks like things have taken off and are already being worked on, at least to the point now that they could be relatively close to filming very soon. So these pictures were originally put up on not only Twitter, but were also on the Fallout 4 subreddit. And these pictures, again, are from the set. We should note, though, of course, that these are just mirrored images right now, ones that have been re-downloaded and taken. So these are not from the original source, but these are being shared out by a person on Twitter with the handle TKS Mantis. So let me go ahead and bring those up here so everybody can see some of these. We can kind of dissect them a little bit here. So, of course, what we have learned, at least from this first image here, is that this looks like it's going to be taking place in either, some people are speculating Vault 32 or Shelter 32. So it looks like, based on the layout of where different vaults actually reside at, this very well could be close to Vegas, potentially. So I don't know if this might try to tie in with some new Vegas type stuff, especially given proximity or anything, or if they're just going to go ahead and spin off into a new story. But yeah, you can see right there in the picture, the 32 logo there on that column here on this soundstage. But of course, as we go through and look around, of course, everything's in disarray because obviously they're setting up for some sort of vault design that is, maybe potentially one that was evacuated out of and just everybody rushed through, or there was some type of problem inside. But you look at it, and it is very, very eerie to see this, like, in its form, because it's so, like, one-to-one with the stuff you'd expect to see in the Fallout games. And, like, I know this picture's blown up a little bit here, but you can really see it.
It almost looks unreal, like something that like the Dolly program would have created, trying to recreate some sort of Fallout shelter with, amalgamations of actual shelters and like just random household objects. But to think that it's an actual photo, it's just so bizarre.
Oh, definitely. It's almost like one of those things that you would see Bethesda pay to set up as like a Fallout experience that like fans would come out and see, like say like QuakeCon or something.
Yeah, and that's a giant set when you look at the view from the what looks like to be the shelter's farm or garden.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that is a massive, massive set.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot that takes place in here, well outside of just the stuff that'll take place outside
Hmm.
in the real world. Now, of course, even with that said, here again on this article from Kotaku, where they show this off as well, is another person here on Twitter going by the handle of Quiet Writer Love, driving by an old supermarket here, or an old shopping mall here that has been converted. And it turns out, while they were joking about it, thinking that this was just dilapidated market here in their neighborhood, like I guess comparing to some other buildings, it turns out that this is actually part of the Fallout TV series set. And you can see some
Aha.
old cars beat up there in the parking lot. There is a truck there kind of behind Kyle's head, a little tough to see there. Obviously, the man lift wouldn't be there, but this is something that's supposed to be set up, and I'm guessing is probably going to be something explored by our protagonist in the television series. So, very, very cool to see a lot of this. And again, Kyle, it truly is surreal to see how all of this is set up right now, how all of this is put together, and just that, like, I hope they preserve some of this soundstage in some way that they can bring this into like a Fallout experience. So at any game convention, any game meetup,
Oh
they
yeah.
can roll this out on a trailer, or at least parts of it. And it's like, do you want to see inside a vault? And you go into this, and it's blah, just right there. It's sick.
Yeah. No, that would be awesome. Cause man, I can only imagine the man hours just setting up the sound stage for just that vault area in that huge warehouse. Holy crap. I yeah.
Yeah, so Amazon obviously doesn't shy away from when they're putting money towards their shows or anything like that either. I mean, when they
Yeah.
first were starting up their own like in-house content, and they went and bought the former Top Gear stars and crew, Jeremy Clarkson, Richard Hammond, James May, brought them in, and they did the grand tour. Obviously that was one of those things where it's like money is no object to Amazon, and I think all of us out there know that. So for them to at least really put their money where their mouth is and say they're going to make a Fallout show, they've, at least in set design, they've hit the nail on the head.
Hmm.
It's just a matter now of the acting, the story, the costumes and props as well too, and how it fits into the rest of the Fallout lore.
Right.
So, as of right now, I don't believe there has been a release date for the TV series yet. Of course, if it just entered filming and we're seeing the sound stages and that already being kind of leaked out anyway too, means that it's only a matter of time before we potentially start seeing more details on either when content's going to become available, or hey, maybe we'll get some more leaks out of stuff from the set very soon. In the mean,
Hopefully.
hopefully. In the meantime, of course, we carry on, and it's time to talk about some stuff over on Blizzard's side now, and that happens to involve Diablo 4. So, last news that we had, we talked about Diablo 4 and some family and friends alpha testing that was going on, saying there was positive reviews, saying everything looked like it was holding up pretty well. Well, now we're at the stage, of course, that Blizzard has to step up and talk about pay to win and their microtransaction system that they're going to have in Diablo 4. Well, it turns out they are not going to be having any sort of pay to win mechanics with their microtransaction and season pass within Diablo 4, which means it's a complete step away from what they've been doing with Diablo Immortal. So, what they went and talked about, according to the information here from Engadget, the short version of the blog post is that Diablo 4 will be a full-price title with an in-game shop and optional season passes. However, the only way to make your characters more powerful will be by playing the game. And so monetization for this game is going to work. It's going to be 4 seasons per year. First one's going to kick off after the game's release. Each new season will have additional features, balance changes, quality of life improvements, as well as new quests to complete and items to collect. So just like Diablo 2, Diablo 3, you'll have to create a new character for each season, of course, too. And then additional parts of it, though, is that any purchases that do end up getting made are not going to enhance the abilities of your characters. However, they have said that you will be able to actually build up your own like cosmetic diversity like bundles, so you don't have to purchase like this one large like set of armor or collection of armor and use everything. If you want to mix and match, you can do that, and then you'll basically be paying the same price to get the setup you want, and then that armor becomes available to all of your characters that you create, I guess, particularly maybe for that season or for that or for just, I guess, your character as well though too. So while it may not necessarily provide any sort of additional enhancements, it'll at least, be something you can carry over between characters and make them look different or act different in some capacity. But that, I mean, that's pretty cool. I expected kind of the other way around. I expected more Diablo Immortal type microtransactions in here. Maybe not at the same scale, but definitely more emphasized on it, especially after what we saw with Immortal.
I mean, though, they have seasons in Diablo 3, and they change and tailor different classes different ways each season, and so there's tweaking always going on with the Diablo 3 seasons, and that's once you purchase it, it's free. You get all that season content for free. You don't have to purchase a season pass or anything. I don't know. It almost feels like Blizzard's trying to tell me that, you can beat our game in 3 months. So if you're only going to play it once, maybe you should buy it on sale. And because you're not going to be able to hold on to your character.
Yeah. Well, it looks like what's going to happen is that any characters you create will actually go into this place called the Eternal Realm, which means you'll be able to still play with them, but to a certain point, though, is that where you'll be able to take them. So you won't be able to bring them into like the new seasons or anything, but that means that if you want to go back and play them, you'll be able to do it without any sort of the added bonuses of the new character in a new season. So
I guess that's kind of cool, but I don't know.
I see it more as a bonus I see it as a bonus when they add in DLC that you could go back with that character and kick off with it. That's where I see it.
I feel like, though, the DLC is going to have to be pretty robust. Like, they're going to have to be coming out with more DLC, like, Reaper of Souls, but, like, every 6 months-ish.
Yeah, hopefully, though, that when they're doing these seasons, though, is that even if they are similar to Diablo 3 and Diablo 2 Resurrected, I hope that what they may end up doing, though, is that they do introduce new content with each season instead of it just being create a new character, do the same stuff over again. Here are these additional quests and that. I'd like to see it where maybe it's not full DLC, but maybe add in those different like segmented story events or something like that are unique to that season, maybe deeper into the lore.
Or even just like different quests, like unique quests to that season, or they change up quests per season. So, you may not see this quest too often, but all of a sudden it shows up in this one season or whatever.
Yeah, that's would at least help with making it not seem so stagnant, at least in that case. But it sounds like I was reading another article there from another game news org, and what they were talking about was Blizzard has actually dedicated a large set of staff to the actual season side of content creation for Diablo 4. So you have your core like Diablo 4 team who are making the game, but then you have dedicated teams that are responsible for the season content. So that way, maybe that will meet the case, is that we'll actually get things that are more fresh and more inviting instead of it just being play through. Here's a couple different missions that are different because of this season, and so on.
More robust than your standard Call of Duty season.
Oh, God. One could really hope that's the case. But, I mean, it's Activision. Remember, it's Activision Blizzard, not just Blizzard now. So we see how things go.
Right.
But, yeah, it's nice to see at least that the core Diablo game is not going to be bogged down by microtransactions, just like we talked about previously with Diablo Immortal, where one player spent $100,000 in microtransactions and now can't play anybody in PvE or PvP, excuse me. So at least that's a bonus there, I guess. Maybe, hey, why would we even consider that a bonus? Why should we consider that a bonus, Kyle? That the game is going to be exactly what we expect it to be and not some sort of money grab.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it, I don't know how many times. I remember back in the day when games had to be complete when they hit the shelf,
Hmm.
and just all this, all the season pass stuff, all the cosmetics and stuff. It in a way to me, it just feels like ways for companies to nickel and dime you, especially on when you're a PC player anyway, and a lot of people create content for themselves and to share with other people that you could just download for free for a lot of different games.
Exactly. If they want to nickel and dime me, do it in merchandise, okay? Don't do it in the
Yeah.
game. Do it in the hoodies that I need to buy or the
Crap.
figures I
Yeah,
need to
I've
buy.
got 5 Overwatch hoodies, so
See? Yeah, and look, like I know you can't see it here, Kyle, because the way camera's set up. It's like Hasbro nickel and dimes me by doing this, okay? By selling me this. I know you'll see it in the stream anyway too, but they do this by making me buy Power Rangers toys, and they've upped the price by $3. Is that
yeah.
going to make me do anything? No, that's not going to make me change anything. I'm going to buy it
Right.
still, no matter what, okay? But no, nickel and dime me on the merchandise. Don't do it on the core game though, okay? That's all I could say. All right. But anyway,
Mhm.
even so,
Mhm.
even so. Um, we'll leave it at that. Diablo 4, at least, that's still keep my hopes up. We still have Diablo 3 to finish. Okay, Kyle, we're very close to having that done.
So close.
So close. But you know what, though? As we move into this next story, I roll my eyes at it because this is something we should have seen coming. And at the same time, we really don't need another one of these. Sony may be adding a PlayStation launcher to the PC. So apparently, and this story comes from Video Games Chronicle. Apparently, it's been found in the Spider-Man remastered PC game that there are mentions in the files of some type of PlayStation launcher. I don't have any sort of. Oh no, here are the names right here.
Well,
Um,
it's a reference to PSN account linked and PSN linking entitlements.
correct.
And so not necessarily a launcher. I think the whole launcher thing did spread quite quickly from, these being found. But as a basis, I think what we need to look at though is it had the potential, and what they had really worked on trying to do with Spider-Man is being able to link your PSN account onto your Steam account
Right.
for the game in order to get extra skill points for the game. And that was actually something that was referenced in the code as being loose code that wasn't tied.
Hmm.
But if you would have linked your account, you would have potentially gotten either continuous or at least a one-time skill point boost.
Okay, that's partially fair, but I do see Sony kind of exerting some of this additional control because they have made such a large push into the PC space in the first place. The fact that
Yeah.
they've put so many of their AAA titles onto PC already so far, granted, when I say so many, I mean I'm looking more at like the current generation of stuff right now.
Well, I
It's
mean,
the fact that
Days Gone, Death Stranding, Spider-Man now, and then
God of War,
um,
Horizon Zero
God of
Dawn,
War.
yep.
Yeah. None of those necessarily have this reference. However, they do have an up and coming title that already launched on the PS5 that's supposed to be coming out on Steam at the beginning of next year, I want to say.
Which one?
Um, Returnal.
Ooh, yes, that has been mentioned several
So,
times too.
I mean, we're actually leaping into the next generation. I mean, Spider-Man, yes, but this is just the base Spider-Man remastered. Still could be referenced to the, PS4 version. When they remastered it for 5, if you got the version that was remastered for 4, I'm pretty sure it had the different Peter Parker.
Okay.
So,
Well, even so, it's
or no, I guess that was Miles Morales that had the different Peter Parker. So, my
yes,
bad.
yeah, you're right. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. It did. Um, I think the bigger thing though to take away is that it wouldn't be a surprise to see Sony do something like this because right now, with their main competitor, I mean, PC gaming, of course, is really blowing up anyway. But with Microsoft, if you look at them as their main competitor, and of course, it being a Windows machine, they kind of have the monopoly on that anyway. But the fact that you can open up the Xbox app on your PC and launch right into Game Pass as well as the Game Pass cloud
Mhm.
streaming, it would almost be silly for them to not do something like this where they have all of their PlayStation related content tied into one application so that way you didn't have to go buy the games through Steam or get them like if there was some sort of weird partnership with Epic Games as well. to have them on the launcher, that they would have everything unified into one. So that way, if you did end up buying them on Steam, you bring those entitlements in. Now they're in the PlayStation launcher, but then also PlayStation Now or any of the other new modifications they've done to Plus this year are all now in one unified environment.
Well, and I mean, there's a lot of things that this could be inferenced to, too. I mean, not only could you have a PlayStation launcher potentially in the future, but I mean, Microsoft, when you log on to Steam and you play Halo or Forza, you still have to connect to Xbox Live through Steam in order to play those games.
True.
So, I mean, it could be Sony pushing to maybe you have to connect to play the PSN in order to play those PlayStation games. However, I know that PlayStation has had ties to Steam in the past, dating back to I want to say it was like early PS3. They had a partnership. So
Yep.
if they do have this partnership, what if PlayStation is trying to be the first company that is Steam Deck compatible?
I don't see that as being too far-fetched anyway, because Microsoft already has a pretty good handle on like the mobile market because of game streaming and that.
Any of the Microsoft games cannot be played on the Steam Deck because you have to link your Xbox or your Microsoft account. At least to my knowledge, unless you install Windows, you aren't able to play Halo or Forza through Steam on your deck.
Okay. Huh, interesting. It might be something that you need to go and just try to see what happens if you try to install like Halo Infinite multiplayer onto your Steam Deck, just to see like what it tries to kick off with. I mean, even if it's not Steam Deck like verified, it should still, I would imagine, allow you to at least download it. But then, of course, the consequences if something goes weird.
Yeah. So I don't know. There's a lot of possibilities. I mean, it would be maybe cool if PlayStation didn't necessarily have a launcher, but a platform that you could connect and manage your profile and maybe the stuff for your console and for your, PC all in one place. Maybe make some of those download titles that you have, give dual entitlement for some past ones, or be able to charge for a dual entitlement. I know Sony loves to do that.
Oh God, yeah, they've made that very clear with this current generation of consoles, haven't they?
Whereas, yeah, every time I log on to my Microsoft, if I actually check my library, it seems like I have 2 or 3 more games that I had from console that just all of a sudden appeared, and I've rebought on Steam already because I didn't know they were going to be added.
Seems like someone here is winning the race, but
right?
Yeah, it's like I don't know who that could be potentially here. I mean, it's not like I'm wearing their shirt or anything, and it says like nice happy logo there or anything. But I digress. I am kind of an Xbox fanboy, but that's just been me. Like I've owned PlayStation games. I've owned PlayStations, but it's just, I don't know, Xbox is where it's been at for me. So I don't know. I like if Sony came out with a launcher, like I actually like your idea of the partnerships and what they're trying to push to do, because if you want to capitalize on the PC market, that's really one way to do it, is make yourself more likable by the PC community by making your games accessible on PC. And then there's this added bonus with the Steam Deck compatibility, being able to play God of War and Horizon Zero Dawn on the Steam Deck and take it with, given that Sony's not doing portable devices anymore. By kind of getting into that friendly space and showing, hey, this is what's possible with our games on this type of hardware, and it's PC-based hardware, that really does kind of give them some additional leverage that Microsoft only has because, it's all based on Windows no matter what. Right. So I do really kind of think that that's probably the case, and that's what they're doing. But it doesn't really shock me, though, that they could be coming out with a launcher, because not only does it bring them in or bring their players into a single ecosystem where they have to manage everything through one front, but it's another area for them to mine more data, to incorporate more of their own features, and not to rely on a third party to handle the distribution of their games, which, really Valve is the one doing that through Steam. that they can have everything in one space and keep kind of like semi-control of it. That's
Yeah,
really
and
like a Sony thing, though. That's just my take on it.
yeah, and I mean, let's face it, as far as it goes with Sony, when it comes to fluidity with their games, they're not as far along as Microsoft is, because Microsoft, you are able to play, the same game on PC, on Xbox, and then, if I'm on an errand, sitting outside the dressing room while I'm waiting, for people to be done or whatever, I can still play that same game, and it I'm using the same save file. So I mean, Sony is kind of a little behind in that manner, but
Absolutely.
if they can bridge that gap for the PlayStation account onto the PC, whether it be via launcher partnership or maybe even just a side platform that you can control your profile from, I think it would be an excellent idea. And if this is foreshadowing, it might be, but I think we have to wait until Returnal comes out, and that's when we'll actually see. Because I think that first major PS5 title that was exclusive coming out is going to be a Telltale sign.
Oh, agreed. 100%. 100%. Yeah, it's just crazy just to think about that Sony could do stuff like that. But anyway, let's move on here into our last main story of today. And this one, by far, I don't know, Kyle, maybe this is making you all giddy being the Sega fanboy you are, though, too. But Sega is not content with the money that they have made so far on Sonic and the movies. Now they want to bring two different titles to the silver screen, and that happens to be Space Channel 5 and Comic Zone. So, Kyle, being the Sega fanboy that you are, give us an explainer of what each of these games are and how they could potentially be adapted to like movie form.
So I could see maybe Comic Zone, because Comic Zone, the whole premise is you're a comic writer that basically gets sucked into the comic and you have to fight your way out. That's kind of the loose premise of the game. It was a really cool concept because you have to, smash through the panels and transition between panel to panel, and each panel is like a stage almost, or maybe not necessarily a stage, but an area of the stage as a whole. Space Channel 5, I think that's a bit of a stretch. I didn't really play that one, I'll be honest. If I remember right, it might have been a rhythm game, but you were a news reporter for a space news channel that, if I recall, there was a lot of dancing.
Yeah, basically save the world from aliens using the one thing that unites all the people on the planet, our love of silly viral dances, which means that the entire thing, because they've done this with those found footage movies, it's going to be just an hour and a half long series of TikTok videos. It's going to be, and it's not even going to be like if you imagine like your phone, sitting like straight up like this, for example, and it's like it actually is like someone swiping through TikTok like videos and that. So you won't even have like a landscape thing in the movie theater. You're going to have like portrait as someone scrolling through TikToks of what's going on in Space Channel 5. So,
oh man.
But remember though, Kyle, okay, is that I think it was Paramount, is that they were able to make Battleship into a movie. Okay.
If unfortunately
they were able to make that into a movie and make Rihanna a star in that movie, I think that it's possible. I think it's probably going to be something that they do, but I have a feeling it's going to be a movie that's going to be like direct to streaming. It's not going to be a movie that will show up like in theaters. I think it'll be like a direct to streaming movie that, Sega fans will have to just go and look for and just watch.
Yeah, maybe.
And if that's the case, if that's the case, you come over here, we'll put it up on the 65-inch TV, we'll watch it here, and we'll record the criticisms of it as we watch it.
Yeah, yeah, because I'm still baffled by Space Channel 5. Like, Comic Zone, I could see, especially, that's not too far of a stretch after Sonic, but yeah.
I mean, hey, who knows, man? Maybe
They
we'll
would have had an
see.
easier time with Phantasy Star, man.
Just wait till Rock Band and Guitar Hero get their own movies.
Oh man, yeah, I could
DDR,
see a Guitar Hero the
DDR, the
movie,
movie.
right?
Yeah, Dance Dance Revolution, the movie. God, so many people. God,
Oh man,
the intro would be Captain Jack or Butterfly. Anyway, I'm really dating myself here on this one with video games and that, but that was just, yeah. Anyway, so I like the idea of Comic Zone potentially becoming a movie because the whole comic book genre anyway with movies is basically it's been the thing for the movie industry now, going back to, I mean, I guess if you look at like what things have really been with, like, say, the X-Men movies that came out in the early 2000s. There's that, and then of course all the big push in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and then of course what DC's attempted to do too. But
right.
this is of course a separate thing that's based on a video game that talks about comic book stuff, and I think it actually seems to be a pretty adaptable thing. But I guess the question is, though, is how, compared to Sonic, how popular of a game series was it, though, back at that point in time, compared to anything else that was out, that, it would make, that it would be something that would actually bring people in? Is it just going to be the Sega name that brings people in to see the movie, or is it going to be something
I think so.
Okay. Like, I just wasn't
And
sure.
honestly, if anything, I think Space Channel 5 would maybe be more successful in Japan. Comic Zone could be more successful as a localized release for us,
Okay.
but to the same effect, I don't think Comic Zone just had the player base that they think that they had with it. I just don't think as many
I
people
don't
thought
know
it was
either.
popular, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. Serpent Knight
And
here.
I could be wrong.
Serpent Knight on chat says, "I wonder if they could do a movie of what is that? Chakin the Forever Man without getting sued by Iron Maiden." Let's see. Was that a? Let me look this up. Let's see. The Forever Man. Let's see here. This was a. Yeah, let's see. According to this, it was a Sega Mega Drive, Genesis, and Game Gear game published by Sega. 1992 game featured an uncommonly dark premise for the time of its release, which saw the home console market flooded with licensed platformers based on family-friendly media. So basically, it's.
I remember that.
Yeah, I just had to look closer at it here. So, I guess it's based on the. I guess it's based on the character from what was it? Wasn't his name Ed anyway?
Eddie.
Eddie, that's it. Yeah, thank you. So I don't know. It's maybe. I mean, I don't know. Could we just have
Interesting.
Like, could we just have potentially Iron Maiden, the video game, the movie then when that comes out? If that's the case,
I'm down.
If that's the case, instead, scrap that. I want a Brutal Legend movie instead. Bring Jack Black in. Bring in Ozzy. Bring in.
As long as they kill the RTS portion, I'm fine.
One can. I can't imagine an RTS translating to the big screen. Oh wait, Warcraft. Warcraft did it.
Yeah. I mean, Battleship, Warcraft. I mean,
oh shit,
anything's possible at this point.
Battleship really was the an RTS. Well, oh Jesus Christ. Oh my God.
I mean, in a way, it's a turn-based strategy.
Civilization, the movie. I don't know.
Oh man.
Anyway, if they go through with it, hey, cool. It's there. It says that they've got people who are working on the writing for it right now. We'll just see what happens with it. The only thing we do know for a fact on the movie front with Sonic or with anything Sega-wise, is that Sonic 3 has been announced already as another movie that's going to be coming out here in 2024. So we got a little bit of time to wait for that one. In the meantime, now we just have to wait to see what's going to happen with Comic Zone and Space Channel 5. With that, though, we move on to the quick part of the news here itself, too, with the NPCs quest markers. And Kyle, that brings you up to the plate to talk to us about what is going on in the quest markers this week.
Yes, sir. So in our first quest marker for this week, Multiverse was the best-selling game in July, unfortunately. Yeah, with actually the Founders Pack costing between $40 and $100. I believe I heard also a rumor that the full character content pack, or if you bought all of them currently, is something like $240.
Wow.
So, I mean, I could see it easily jumping to the top spot, but if you're really that desperate to, defeat Velma with, Tom
and Jerry.
Tom and Jerry or Jake from Adventure Time, I do also know that any pre-release mods don't work in the game. So if you have any mods that were previously installed, tough luck, guys. You gotta get rid of them.
Oh well.
So, yeah. And moving on to the next one, Death Stranding is making its way to Game Pass, coming out actually August 23rd. This week. You'll be able to strap up your backpack and hold onto those triggers tight. So get ready to either buy a new controller or order a trigger pack.
Hooray! Get the elite one. Yes.
Yeah, no doubt. I burned through one of those already too.
Wah wah.
Yeah. And then for our last bit of news, Blizzard reconfirms Overwatch skins and cosmetics will be available on Overwatch 2. And in fact, if you have Overwatch, I don't know about the console version, what the stipulations are, but on the PC version, there is an option to merge your accounts so you can get all your cosmetics in one spot for the finale. Of course, the 30th is the last day they will be doing any loot boxes for the game. And unfortunately, all the skins that were, or actually most of the skins that were released for the summer 2021 games are sadly still 3,000 coins to unlock.
Oh,
so
man.
They are still full price from last year.
Shame.
So be aware of that. Save up those coins. And be sure to
boy.
spend them before the end of the month.
That too. Yeah, absolutely. Be aware of that one. But of course, with that is it for the NPCs Weekly News Roundup. Again, it is August 20th, and thank you so much, of course, for taking the time out of your schedule on this weekend to join us to go through this week's news. Of course, be sure to follow us here on YouTube and subscribe to us. That way you see when we go live, of course, whenever we do decide to put up content. And be sure, of course, to follow along with the main thing that we do, which is the podcast. You can find that podcast on your favorite podcast platform of choice or over on our podcast page at anchor.fm/the-NPCs-podcast. You can listen to not only this news stream, but also all of our previous episodes and more over there, going back 3 years worth of content. So don't worry, there's plenty of stuff to catch up on. Of course, with that, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. We will catch you all next week.
Laters.